Hey guys, we have a book review today that you probably weren't expecting. Most people think this channel is about software engineering. What it's really about is what I do and what I know about. And what I know about is pretty much only software engineering, but occasionally I do things outside of software engineering. One thing that I did read recently is the Five Love Languages book, which is a book about relationships and essentially, if you want to think of it as more or less, the book is about how to have a better relationship, marriage, all that sort of stuff. And it talks about this concept of your love language. And when I started this year, there's always goals that I have. And one goal I wanted to do was to go and approach relationships and social skills in a way that I would approach a technical skill, because I feel like, at least for me, and maybe some of you can relate, that sometimes maybe you don't pick up on things, maybe you're a little socially awkward, and that's okay, right? But when it starts impacting your relationships, then maybe we should put a little bit of effort into it and try to get better and understand. And so I have a couple books coming in the mail, and I read this one in about a week. I really liked it. And that's what we're going to talk about. We'll do a little bit of review. As always, there'll be a link to the book down below, and you can check it out. Let's go ahead and jump into it. I want to take a moment to thank our long-term sponsor, Dev Mountain Coding Bootcamp. I've had the pleasure of visiting some of their campuses back when in Provo, and it was a beautiful campus. I think they've moved to Lehigh in recent times. But if you're interested in a bootcamp that also provides housing so you can get up and go in web development, QA, iOS development, UI, UX, they got it all. Check them out at devmountain.com. So I'm reading this book. Mainly because I keep having failed relationships and I want to get better. And I think going into if you've ever been unprepared for something, then you know that knowledge and just knowing what you don't know, as simplistic as that sounds, is something that will change the game for you. And one thing about the Five Love Languages book that really changed the game for me, it wasn't until I read something in here that I reflected upon myself quite a bit. And so the Five Love Languages are basically, the premise is that everyone has sort of an emotional love tank within them. You can think of it as like a gas tank between you and your partner. And that everyone fills that tank up with a different type of gas, one of 5. And it is words of affirmation, like, hey, baby, you look good. You're really smart. I appreciate you did an excellent job on X, Y, and Z. There's quality time, spending time together, not just like watching Netflix, but actually, getting rid of the distractions and taking 15, 30 minutes a day to sit down and do that. There are gifts. And not necessarily like monetary gifts, where you are buying things, although that can be it, but like small little things, making something that is a symbolism of your love, right? Getting a photo framed, painting something for them, that type of stuff. Although other gift, that monetary part can be a gift, but it doesn't have to be something financially large. There is also acts of service. And this is where I think I fall into, where essentially you do things like, I make dinner for you, or I clean around the house, or, maybe you're sitting there and I can see you're stressed, I'll rub your shoulders or something like that. Although that kind of falls into the next one, which is physical touch. And there's a whole page on here about men mainly thinking that it's all physical touch, because that's where the sexual stuff happens, right? And that's part of every relationship. And I think one thing that they do a good job on here is talking about primary love languages and secondary love languages. Like, all of these are good things, right? So but some of them mean more to you than others. And it might take you a second to realize what that is. And I made the assumption that I'd just be in physical touch because I'm a simpleton. but I don't know that to be true. Mainly because when there's a section on here about trying to discover what your primary love language is, and that's where it's very enlightening. Where that and Olivia said something a while back where it made a lot of sense. Where she's like, I'm almost positive the way that I show love is through acts of service. She's like, I don't know that there's ever been a time where I've asked you about something, and then within the next 24 hours it was done. Like, oh hey, how come, what's going on with this? Because that's me. I try to do things to show that I care, and I that was the kind of strange thing where I didn't even realize I was doing this. It's just one way that I go about. I put furniture together, or I'll take the trash out. I'll do the dishes. I'll do these things where I'm doing activities to make somebody else's life easier. Because to me, that seems like a fantastic way to be loved. Because easier life. Like I don't know how else to do it. So I think as gentlemen, sometimes we just assume that we're all simpletons and we fall into the physical touch, although important. There's a section in here, and I think this guy, Gary Chapman, there's 1 or 2 pages of sort of like Christian-based sort of quotes. There's a better term than quotes from the Bible, but you get what I'm saying. And for the most part, there's not too much of that. Not that it really bothers me, but some people are very finicky about that sort of thing. The section on discovering your love language, there's a couple tips on there. And one thing that they said is like, well, if you don't know what it is, and there's this whole quiz you can take and whatnot, and maybe I'll take it and I'll make a video of it. But I haven't taken it yet. I just finished the book like 2 days ago, and I plan on taking the quiz. I just haven't got to it yet. But I'll share that link in the description below so you guys can go see what your love language is. I don't know. But there's a section on the book about discovering your love language, and one way to do that is think about like how do you show your love? Like think about it. Like really think about like you're in your relationship. How do you go about to show that you appreciate somebody else? And probably that's where I ended up on acts of service, because I was between that and Olivia telling me that. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And it's not always going to be the same, right? The way that you show and feel love don't line up in sync, but I think there's some truth to that, because like people give me compliments, I don't care. People give me gifts, that's nice, that's cool, I like memorabilia, like that's fine. Quality time, to a degree, but like I definitely fall into the act of service. Like if we're building a life together, make our life easier, and so but that's where I think I fall into. But there can be overlap, and the final section of this book was really enlightening from a perspective of why it seemed like the perfect section to end on. Because if anyone's ever been in a long-term relationship that hasn't gone well, the final section's about being on either side of using or any relationship really. Because usually what happens in a relationship is you love each other, and then if it doesn't work out, you hate each other, or some indifference of that. And that's the final section, which I thought was pretty interesting, because one great thing about the book is it's not all hypothetical. The guy's a counselor and all that sort of stuff, so he uses a lot of stories of, hey, this is what we did with XYZ couple, and this was their scenario, and a lot of it is communication, right? And so like it's so cliche, but if you think about it, if you've ever been in a relationship, and like me, I'm not a good communicator. I try, but like I don't pick up on subtleties sometimes and all that sort of stuff. But if I'm actively forcing myself to say, hey, I want you to do this because it makes me feel good, And it's so simple. It's so unbelievably simple to do something like that. But a lot of us don't do it. And it's maybe because we never thought about it. Maybe because, you know, you never maybe thought what you're doing was good enough, right? But the point that the book makes very clearly is that, like, you could be doing 4 hours acts of service a day. Like, you just, you're washing cars, doing dishes, vacuuming, laundry, because that's how you show it. But if your person just wants you to tell them that they look good, or give them compliments throughout the day, then it doesn't matter eventually how much you do, because they're not going to emotionally appreciate it. They're going to appreciate anything you do, but they're not going to their love tank isn't going, which is such a weird word, but it's so perfect, isn't going to be filled up. But the final section of the book, as I was saying before I went on this tangent, is about going from one person loving and one person hating and just want to be out of it, and how to, if you want to work on things, go and try to get that person back into the groove of things. But it's been an interesting experience reading my first book like this, where I'm approaching it as a technical skill. I'm going to be doing research, and now it's time for the development, where I'm going to apply it in various ways. And so I have another book or two coming in the mail. I definitely enjoyed it. That was something that I wasn't expecting when I read a book like this, because I've never read any sort of self-help book or relationship book a day in my life. I've read science fiction, I've read fantasy, I've read college textbooks, and I've read technical books. But this is the first book, and I loved it. You could say I love languaged it. All right. See what I did there? But yeah, man, if you guys are interested, I think this is a pretty good book. It's been 12 million copies sold. So at least it's getting good press, I guess. But it's been interesting, and something that I am trying to improve on in my various ways. Not saying that there's anything wrong with me, but when you have a couple of relationships and they don't work out, and then you start hearing some similar things from different people, maybe you gotta look on how you communicate and whatnot. So that's what I'm trying to do, just trying to investigate. But with all that being said, guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Like, subscribe, share, and if you're interested in any of my software courses, relationship courses down the line, probably not, but there's links in the description. Bye, guys. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to check out my latest course, the 100 Front-End Interview Questions Challenge, to make sure that you ace those front-end interviews. Smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.